See, we've had
Lav.
pubs and clubs
Lav.
for like 20 years, but not
Right.
like this. Council stuff.
With Clyde Broughton, Jailhawk. Warcry Publishing released his book last year. Fortune Sheffield. You're going to be on Sean Atwood's in a couple of weeks, Clyde. You've been around many infamous criminals such as Paul Sykes, Bob Maudsley, Charles Bronson. But before we go into that, where were you? How did it all start for you then?
My criminal life started when I was about 12 years old. I got put in a crew school, which I stayed there for 3 years, Castle Howard, near Maudsley. I got out from there, age of 16. I did my first Wacker detention centre at Watton, Nottinghamshire. I was out about 3 or 4 weeks, did my second Wacker detention, North Sea Camp. Got out from there, weren't out long at all. My first Wacker Borstal when I was 17. Got out, weren't out long at all. My second Wacker Borstal when I was about 18. Then I got out from there, and when I was 19 I started going at man's jails. My first prison.
What kind of things have you done? Like what kind of like criminal activities are you?
Burglaries,
When you say burglaries, do you mean like warehouses or?
dwellings. First, when I was young, like, I just started normal petty theft, wagging school, things like that. I started getting into serious crime when I was about 19 years old. Burglars, plenty of money involved. My first sentence when I was 19 was 7.5 years.
It's a massive sentence.
It were then because at that time there were no televisions, kettles.
Slopping out and all that.
Yeah, slopping out. Only thing I got off at prison service when I first went in was a piss pot and a Bible. I didn't get no else.
Right. So you must have come across a lot of famous, infamous people in your system. But obviously, when you're going in and out of prison and all that, were you just not bothered? Was it?
Nah, not at that time. Like, I was knocking about with lads what were more or less same as me. I weren't bothered. It was just part of my life at the time, I thought.
Were you involved in a lot of violence and all that?
Sometimes. I got 2.5 years for, well, I was supposed to have glassed somebody, but it weren't like that. They just got into it, and I didn't mean to do it. But I got 2.5 years for that, and I shouldn't have really.
How many prisons have you been in total?
Offhand, 15.
Right. So you've actually done, what was it, I think it was 14 years or something total?
I've done about 14 years, yeah,
Right.
altogether.
Paul Sykes, it says on the front of this book, one of the strongest kids Yorkshire has ever produced. How did you, everyone knows me from the Paul Sykes, there's going to be a film this year, I've done 2 books on him. But how did you actually come across the wild man in Wakefield?
I was 16 years old and I was in Springwood in Sheffield on Woodthorpe Estate, and my mate Dave Lee, who'd done quite a bit of time with Paul. Paul came out to see him and he introduced me to him, and I think he liked me to start off with because I was into sports, and because Paul was a sporty person.
What year was this then?
1976.
So this was before he'd even started his professional career. And obviously a lot of people know Paul Sykes from the alcoholic, the taking drugs and all that, but back then, I spoke to one guy last year who was in prison, done prison with Paul Sykes, and he said the whole landing, the whole wing was not allowed to smoke because he was like, he wouldn't even, yes, he was a drinker in the end of his life, but before then he was, you know, John Spencer said to me, he used to know what to eat and the diets and all, so he was a supreme athlete then, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, like, they were, I'd say when Paul was top of his game, there was nobody in British system, English system, whatever you want to call it. All respect to Sykes, he lived it, he loved it, and that's what he did.
So did you, was it an instant connection?
Yeah, an instant connection.
Because he was a monster, man, when you think, you were a young lad then, so didn't you think, hang on a minute.
Well, I first got training with Paul later on, like we passed through jails together, like Durham and Ormley, and I started going into powerlifting, and Paul, because I knew Paul, he came up to me one day and he went, "You show me how to lift weights powerfully, and I'll show you how to punch." That's what he said to me. So I used to train in powerlifting. Got him strong. But yeah, Paul, athleticism, he were a tool, Paul.
Right, and obviously you spent so much around Paul Sykes. Did you ever see him fighting and all that inside? And
Oh yeah, I saw a few times. Paul, he never used to let screws take liberties with cons at all like that. Like, I can remember at one time in Leeds, there used to be a screw sat on, well, stood at end at landing, and he used to look at your face to see if you'd had a shave that day. And I can remember this little guy being in front of Paul and this screw saying to the lad, "Get back to your cell, you haven't had a shave." And Sykes would just shove this little guy out and way and said to the screw, "I hadn't had a shave, let me go back to the cell." So he couldn't send out to Paul, so the young guy just got away with it and went down to serve it.
But you know, I know a few stories, Clyde, that you know was in that book, and was his name that much of an authority? Because you told me stories about no one allowed to play music. You know the story earlier about him having a fight with some guy in the servery and the towel thing. So go on to that.
Well, I used to train with Paul, and this particular day when we come back from training, we went straight for his tea along hot plate, and all the kitchen lads used to put the utensils down because Sykes used to feed himself. And I used to get a bit embarrassed myself because I'm stood with him, I'm training with him, so whatever he put on his tray, he put on my tray as well. So as we're going along the landing, the servery, we got to Dove, the sponge pudding part. There was this big kid there from Hull, big blonde haired lad. And Sykes, he said to him, he said, "Are you going to serve me or shall I serve myself? I don't want to get you in trouble." And the guy said to him, "You'll get same as everybody else." So Sykes, he just turned round to him and said, "All right, so will you." Plodded off upstairs. Later on, he knocked on my door. Clyde training. We're down there, we were doing squats. Next minute, all these white t-shirts come running past, and he said to me, "Clyde, 2 minutes." And I know exactly what would happen, and I just heard this boom. So he's come running at background side, so he's gone straight into the screws office, got a towel, and said to me, "Go and get him that." So as I walked round the corner, I've seen him laid on steps in Leeds, just before gym. He's got his eyes wide open and he's splitting from top of his head to end of his nose.
One blow.
One blow. I honestly thought the kid were dead. In fact, I was that shocked. I didn't try and wake him up, I just threw it on his head and chipped. He looked really serious.
Right, and was it, you know, the radio? I mean, a lot of people think that's actually far-fetched, but you were there.
This is the truth. I was there, I was on landing, and this guy had his radio on. This were on 4s, and you're supposed to turn your radios off then at 10 o'clock at night, and this guy, he had his radio on, and Sykes was shouting out the window, "Turn them fucking radios off." So anyway, this guy started giving Sykes loads of sticks. So next morning, Sykes walked to landing and just smashed every radio on landing and said to the guy, when he smashed it, "If it's not you, I'm sorry, but if it is you, I've got you, bastard." And then he just smashed lot. And then that same day, he's gone to the gym. I don't think there'd be anybody else in the country what could do this. He took a basketball back to his cell and bounced it on the wall all night to keep everybody away. Fucking dead, yeah.
Right.
Top drop.
He was some character, and do you understand why the film this year is happening with Western Edge Pictures and that? Because you knew him in his prime. Did it really sadden you when you heard the stories of the kids pissing on him, setting him on fire?
Oh, yeah.
He could hardly walk, and do you know what I mean? Was it because this is a guy Peter Fury said to me, and Johnny Nelson said, "You know what? People who've done that wouldn't even looked at them sideways." And them young kids who've done that, who probably beat their dad up, who beat their granddads up, you know, was it social karma, just social justice that come round? But you know what, them young kids who used to torture him and torment him on a daily basis, walk past and smash eggs, they would never have had any inkling the fear that man could once install.
Like, when Paul Sykes was in his prime, people did, once they saw him coming down the road, they'd have crossed the road. Like, there's no way them kids or whoever it were what did this to him, set him on fire and things like that, actually knew who he was. Maybe when the dads have walked in house, or the granddads, like you said, like, they've come in, busted up, and the wives have asked him who's done it, and he said, oh, Paul Sykes has just had on me. Kids might have heard it, and they might have had a bee in the bonnet from them, like, but things like that do take the toll.
Yeah, but not only Paul Sykes, you were around Delroy Showers. Obviously, I've met Delroy a few times, and to say he's an education to be in his company is an understatement. The guy speaks 6 different languages, but him and his brother were notorious, and you were very familiar with him. And the guy, you know, he's never had a drink, doesn't take drugs, but he's only a small guy as well, but powerfully built, and he was a bit of a name years ago, though, wasn't he?
Yeah, Delroy. I first met him in Walton in 1982. I think he was doing 9 years. I'd just gone there for long-term allocation. I'd done like 2 years in Swinfernal YP Centre, and when I got started up, they sent me to Walton for long, because that's where they used to long-term allocate you. And that's where I first met Delroy and Jimmy Tago, Johnny Phillips, them kind of people, Scousers. I think Johnny Phillips is dead now. He got shot. But Delroy, yeah, you could tell with his aroma and how people treat him, other cons and Scrooge, they were a name.
Yeah, he's, to quote Delroy Showers, I'm not your average dad from Toxteth, and that pretty sums him up, doesn't it? The guy speaks 6 different languages. We've been in his company and he'll just start talking Russian, you know. He's not your average thicko, he's not, you know, but he's, you know, the stories I want to address, obviously Delroy's openly, he's bisexual. The rumours that like Paul Sykes was doing this, Delroy was doing that in prison. That, you were there, right? So how would you address all, he was this, he was that? You've seen it daily, right? What was the story?
Well, Delroy's open, like, is a half gay, whatever you want to call it. But as far as Sykes he was, like, he got, a lot of people think that he raped YPs. Never ever have I heard anybody complain to a school that he'd been raped by Paul. Because if that had happened, he'd have been gone. He'd have been charged with it, he'd have had a court appearance, and it'd have been dealt with. It's a load of bollocks with Sykes then. But Delroy, yeah, he's openly gay.
Was Sykes openly gay in prison?
There were a rumour saying that he were, but I never...
Yeah, I mean, I spoke with Son.
Like I said, like, I was young when I met Sykes and I've been in jail with Sykes here, and he never fucking tried to...
You know, but I think a lot of the schools paid up. If you don't behave, I'll put you with Sykes. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I heard that, yeah. If you don't behave, like YPs when they were carrying on, if you're carrying on, I'm going to lock Paul Sykes up here. So whether they came across schools selling YPs that he'd assault them or bum them or you know, like it's...
Yeah, Clyde, you've done a lot of prison. You've been, I mean, this book, absolutely fantastic. It's one of War Cry Publishing's bestsellers. Jailhawk, Fortune Sheffield, which is on Amazon now. It's in Waterstones, and I want to buy it. But you've been around. I mean, Bob Maudsley has been in the papers last couple of weeks. You were actually very well in Monster Mansion with him. You've been around Charles Bronson. What's the story with them two then? So Bob Maudsley first. How did you find him? What was the story of him?
Well, Bobby Maudsley, I was in Wakefield and I got 54 days solitary confinement for barricading up. And I was above him, like F-wing, the block in Wakefield is F-wing, and everybody used to call it Fraggle Rock. And when I was walking that exercise yard there, Bobby Maudsley was directly below me, and he used to put me roll-ups on his windowsill, split matches and a bit of striker. Because even though we couldn't smoke down there, he used to he could because he was there permanently. And at night I used to get my head out on the window and I used to talk to him. But the screw said to me, he goes, do you know who that is, who are you talking to? I was, I ain't got a clue. He went, it's Bobby Maudsley. I went, "That's fine."
Hannibal killer.
Hannibal, yeah, the original Hannibal Lecter.
Because that was, if anyone's seen Signs of the Lambs, that glass cell was based on him, and he's been there, I don't know, 45 years, something like that, 50 years?
Yeah, Bobby Maudsley's cell, it consisted of a prison, a normal prison door, then behind that door there was another door, but there was an hatch at bottom where he used to push his food through. Treated like an animal, and wherever he went there were 6 screws with him, you know. Very dangerous. I once told, in fact that time they were on about all the crowding in prisons, and I was talking to Maudsley at front window, and he went, I know how to get rid of it. I went, go on then, tell us. He went, let me on landing, I'll duck lotting. Yeah. And I got goose pimples.
Yeah. Charles Bronson, what's your opinion of him?
He's a dickhead. Yeah, like, a guy like, he got 7 years, got out, then did something stupid again. There's a lot of people what think that he should be out, and they all said that rapists and murderers are out before him. And the reason why they're out is because when they go into the system, they get their heads down, and they keep their noses clean, and they do the time, and they get out. Whereas Bronson, he like beats governors up, he beats screws up, he goes on hunger strikes, he does all these stupid things, and he just wants to be famous. That's it.
Yeah. I know Charlie sent me a couple of letters. He wasn't too happy with me when I did a book a couple of years back. Reason being was I interviewed Paul Sykes' son, and he said, I mean, it's not me, I'm an author, I'm a messenger boy if you like, but Paul Sykes Jr. in there, he said, Charles Bronson wasn't good enough to lace my dad's boots, and you know, I mean, you've been in there when you've been in Fred Low's company. What happened there?
Well, there was a special unit in Hull. There was Sykes, Bronson and Fred Lowe on it. And Fred Lowe, I think he's dead now, isn't he?
He died about 4 years ago.
Yeah.
5 years ago.
He was doing life properly, never getting out.
He killed 2 or 3 people.
Yeah. And Fred Lowe, when he was a bit pissed off, he used to sit on landing, ripping newspaper up. He used to just lay it fall on floor. And Bronson had something to say to him, and he walked up to him and started threatening him, but Sykes, he heard him. So Sykes has gone up to Bronson and made him sit on a chair facing wall and told him, if you turn around and spoke to anybody, or showed aggression to anybody, we're going to fill him in. A lot of people won't believe that, but that did actually happen. But you'll never
Charles Bronson stared at the wall for half an hour.
We had no choice, otherwise it would have got filled in.
Yeah.
But you were talking then about a prime Sykes. Like, I think he was doing 7 years, and like that landing, what he
6 years he was doing.
Yeah, 6 years.
Two screws, he hit the screws.
Yeah, supposed to have hit him with double bells. He'd tell me he never hit him.
He broke the ribs, it was 2. I actually know the name of one. And he was a notorious screw who used to treat people like crap, and the argument was Paul couldn't get any gym because he wasn't doing over 7 years, so I think he was doing 6 years. And he said, I've been alive for a long time, all my life, and he ended up giving him a good hard, and I think he got 2.5 years. He was in for, that was it, 4.5 years, and then when he was inside he got 2.5, so it was 7, you're right.
Yeah.
And he attacked 2 screws, broke one of the ribs, asked what people who seen the ambulances come for him. So that was in Hull. That was about 1986 or something like that, I think. But your book, Clyde, obviously you've had a bit of a life yourself. What, for people watching now, what's in this book? Why should they buy it?
There's a lot more stories about Sykes. It's my life as well, what I've been up to in my life. There's Bobby Maudsley's in it, Sykes, a few little alterations on a gypsy camp with cockfighting, and what I've actually done in life. It's a good book to read.
Yeah, you're talking about your 54 days in solitary, back in Armley. You've got a documentary on YouTube, which is
Smoking with the Hawk.
Yeah, Smoking with the Hawk, which is basically about kind of being some kind of pro hustle. But you know, people are going to see a lot more of you, Clyde. It's, you know, you're certainly not glamorising it, but the fact of the matter is, these things happened, and you know, people like to read. Why? You know, and is there any other people that you've been around with? Like you mentioned the Black Panther there. Have you ever You must have literally seen the who's who of the British criminal world over there.
Well, when I were doing my Borstal stretch and I were in Leeds waiting to go, there were Peter Sutcliffe there.
Did you see him?
Yeah, I saw Sutcliffe, yeah, you would have never thought he was what he were. He was just a normal fellow.
Saying that though, if he was a grave digger every day, I'm not the supreme strength. Apparently, he ragged Ronnie Cray about like a doll. Do you know what I mean? So you've been digging graves, it's bloody hard. Do you know what I mean? But any others?
Donald Nielsen, Black Panther.
Yeah.
I've been round him. Some people, Diabland, who were in Wakefield, they were in next cell to me.
I mean, you've met Roy Shaw a couple of times, and
Oh yeah, Roy
you
Shaw,
know,
Joe
I didn't.
Pyle.
Yeah, I didn't put it in the book, but I spoke to Hull. I spoke to Delroy Showers, who confirmed it, who watched it. I spoke to a prison officer, and he was there. He said that Roy Shaw and Paul Sykes had two famous fights. So you actually asked Roy that, didn't you? What was his words?
Yeah, I asked Roy. I went to watch him on doing this speech thing, and ended speech. They asked us if we wanted to ask any questions. So I put my hand up and I said to Roy Shaw, "Were you and Paul Sykes being a bit aggressive and that? Did you ever come to blows in jail?" And Roy Shaw turned around and said to me that Paul were too big for him. But when I said it, Joe Pyle clenched his fist as if to say, Sykes.
Yeah, I mean, Delroy Showers said to me, he said they had two fights, and the first fight was over in about 13 seconds. Hull, 973.
Yeah, 13 seconds. What it were, because Paul was a bit of a lad, all Cockneys, what were in there, your Lambrianos and that.
Yeah, that's right.
They all thought Roy were going to come up and give Sykes a beating, and like you said, first fight 13 seconds, and I think second fight lasted about 20.
Right, yeah. And have you got any more books in you? I mean, you know, you're going to do another one, because the other book doesn't talk about the trial, you know, and are you going to...
Yeah, like soon, when Rob gets his act together.
Yeah, but for anyone who wants to contact Clyde or message his page, it's Jailhawk, which is the same title of the book. Yeah, so anyone wants to message Clyde, get in contact with him, and he's certainly not someone who glamorise it, but it is an interesting book. I've read it myself, so thanks for your time, Clyde. You're going to be on Sean Atwood's in a couple of weeks, and then obviously we'll see where we go from there, but right, thanks for your time.